What's up guys, Motocross Action is here and welcome to another one of our tested videos. This time we're testing the 2022 GASGAS MC450F. This bike is identical to as it was last year, but it was a brand new model last year. It's got quite a bit of differences, more than you might expect if you haven't ridden or seen a GASGAS MC450F in person. One of the major differences is the forged aluminum triple clamps that definitely make the bike handle quite a bit differently. We've tested a wide range of triple clamps in the last year, trying to see how to make the triple clamps better and make this bike handle a little differently as well. So it also has softer suspension and a few other changes on this bike that make it different from the KTM and Husky. So this video, we're gonna break down all the details as we know a lot about this bike after spending many hours on it last year. Let's get into it. All right guys, it has been a good day on the 2022 GASGAS MC450F. Basically, it's the same platform that the KTM 450 has. KTM bought GASGAS, first released this model back in 2021, last season. Now for 2022, they just hit the repeat button, copy and paste. GASGAS is exactly the same as it was last year. I think the only minor change is gonna be in the internals of the engine as the air oil separator, work on durability and kind of clean up the outside of the engine a little bit. We've seen KTM 450s spew a little oil out of the side as kind of like an overflow. Now they fixed that for 2022 on KTM, Husqvarna, and GASGAS. So that's really the only change. The frame is still red, the plastics are still exactly the same, the handlebars, the bar pad is still super small, the rims are still silver, so everything else about the GASGAS 450 is the same, which means that this video we're gonna be telling you a lot about it because we know this bike head to toe. We put a lot of hours on it last year. As mentioned, it's the KTM platform. It's not the Husky platform. The Husky has the composite subframe, where this has the aluminum subframe that comes on the KTM 450. Other changes that differentiate this from the KTM 450 are trying to make this bike feel as much different as they possibly can from the KTM 450 while still keeping it a viable race bike, something that people will be interested in if they go to the dealers and they want to buy a 450. So KTM's whole game plan behind GASGAS was to produce a whole nother brand that they can continue to compete with Japanese bikes like Kawasaki, Honda, Yamaha, and Suzuki, and they want to really take customers away from those brands by producing another KTM at a lower price point that's just a little bit different. So what are the differences that stick out on the GASGAS 450 when you compare it to the KTM? First, the price tag. This bike costs $9,599. That's the exact same price as the 2022 Honda CRF 450, the 22 YZ 450 from Yamaha, and also the same price as the KX 450 from Kawasaki. So exact same price, but you're getting the KTM engine, you're getting the KTM frame, you're getting the KTM hydraulic clutch and clutch internals, and you're getting a lot of good things that come with the KTM, also the lightweight and the smooth power that you get there. Some things that you aren't getting from the KTM, you're not getting the map switch on the GASGAS 450. You're also getting silver rims instead of black rims. You're also getting a restrictor cone. We call it an ice cream cone restrictor in the muffler. That definitely tones down the power a lot. The air box is a lot more closed off on the GASGAS 450. That kind of adjusts the power as well. There's no resonance chamber on the header pipe on the GASGAS 450, so that changes the power just a tiny bit. We don't notice a lot with the resonance chamber, but that is one difference. And then a few other changes. The GASGAS has that miniature bar pad that we think is really funny to look at. It's also got Maxxis tires, that Maxxis MX ST tires instead of the Dunlop MX33 tires. So a few little differences that make the GASGAS 450 different. One major difference is the forged aluminum triple clamps. So these triple clamps are definitely a downgrade from KTM and Husqvarna. KTM and Husky have CNC machined from billet triple clamps, so those are more precise, a little bit lighter, I believe, and they're also just stronger and a different material, different way of making triple clamps that's a little more high-tech. CNC machine materials is what you buy when you get an aftermarket triple clamp. KTM and Husky are the only brands that come with CNC machine triple clamps, so if you're looking at the forged aluminum triple clamps on GASGAS and you're wondering, I don't know if that's safe to hit triples on, I don't know if that's safe to ride motocross or supercross on. Well, two things for you. If you ride a Yamaha, Honda, Kawasaki, or Suzuki, you're also riding with forged aluminum triple clamps. They're the same as the GASGAS, same way of making them. Second thing, Ryan Sipes, he actually rides with these same triple clamps, the forged aluminum ones. I saw him racing Supercross on a GASGAS with these same triple clamps, also raced Washougal National this past season on these same triple clamps as well. So those are two things that you need to remember. GASGAS suspension settings are way different. They're a lot softer. The spring rate in the rear is a 4.2 Newton millimeter spring compared to the 4.5 spring that comes on KTM and Husky for the 450 range. The valving is also a lot softer in the forks and the shock. So with the GASGAS, you're getting a lot further down in the stroke. For a pro level rider like me, I'm bottoming and getting a lot further down into the suspension and really kind of riding a cushion out there, riding like a couch today here at Glen Helen. However, the suspension settings are a lot softer on this bike, but that doesn't mean they're bad. They're just targeted to a different audience, to more of the average rider, somebody who's a novice, a lower level intermediate might like this bike, somebody who's lighter or just new to the 450 class, they might feel more comfortable on the GASGAS 450. So basically it has the same KTM platform, only it's tailored to take customers away from Yamaha, Honda, and Kawasaki, and it's also tailored to fit a novice level rider and be comfortable straight off the showroom floor. A couple other points that differentiate the GASGAS from the KTM 450. The swing arm on this one is actually coming off of the Husqvarna rather than the KTM, so there's really no difference there. We've talked to the KTM guys, we've tried to ask them if it handles any different on the track. They don't think it handles any different on the track. Some people think that the Husky swing arm is softer and a little more flexible, but I can't confirm that one for you guys. Another difference is the clutch cover on the GASGAS is cast, and it's quite a bit heavier actually when you compare it to the KTM clutch cover. Another difference, the gas tank has to be a little different shaped to fit the GASGAS plastics, so all the GASGAS bodywork is different than the KTM. You can't put the GASGAS plastics on your KTM or vice versa. Another note, the GASGAS airbox cover is a lot more closed off as mentioned, and you can fit a KTM ventilated airbox cover on your GASGAS, but it doesn't have quite the perfect fit. It's kind of something you really have to slam to get on there. UFO Plastics, they do make a ventilated airbox cover that copies the KTM, and you can get that for your GASGAS to liven up the power just a little bit. So overall, softer suspension, the triple clamps, diving into that, we tested a lot of different triple clamps in this past season. I really became quite the triple clamp connoisseur, I'd like to say myself, after trying so many different times, going back and forth between the forged triple clamps and the CNC machine ones. We put the KTM clamps on GASGAS, we put the GASGAS clamps on KTMs, we put Luxon triple clamps on, we put Ride Engineering triple clamps, we tried the factory edition triple clamps from KTM and Husky. The GASGAS triple clamps, how they work on the track, these clamps are off of the KTM Enduro range, and they're meant to flex and move just a little bit more on the track. So as mentioned, a lot of long hours and a lot of long days put in here at Glen Helen trying to feel the difference between the two. Some guys, they won't notice the difference between the two. Some people aren't as great at test riders, and they just feel comfortable on the bike that it feels like a KTM, and they might not notice it. But I would have to say a majority of our test riders, almost all of our test riders that have tried these triple clamps, feel that the GASGAS clamps have a little more of a vague feel. They're not as precise as the KTM CNC machine clamps, and so when you're in the corners, you have to think about it a little bit more to get the front end to turn. It's not going to just turn as you think about it. I like to say when I'm feeling comfortable in a KTM or Husky, I can think about turning and the bike will turn. When I feel comfortable in a GASGAS, it takes a little bit more effort for me to turn in a corner. There's certain corners here at Glen Helen that you can feel it more than others. The vague feeling or the oversteering feeling, your kind of front tire's pushing and it's not gaining traction and getting out of the corners right away. So that's really the difference between the KTM clamps and the GASGAS clamps. Like I mentioned, aftermarket triple clamps are a great option if you have a GASGAS and you want to get rid of that vague feeling at the front end and make it feel a little more precise. Luxon and Ride Engineering both offer clamps that give you a little more precision in the corners. We've tested both of those clamps. You can check it out in Motocross Action magazine or on our website, motocrossactionmag.com, to read the full tests on both of those triple clamps where we break apart the details, talk about how they work on the track. One plus about the GASGAS 450 triple clamps that we like is that because they're a little more flexible, it's actually more comfortable to go down long, bumpy straightaways with choppy braking bumps and acceleration bumps because the front end is just a little more flexible and it gets over those bumps a little bit easier. So. As for suspension settings, comparing the GASGAS to KTM, already mentioned GASGAS is quite a bit softer, but when you really look at the whole range and the whole gamut, KTM is the more stiff, ready to race, a little more stiffer valving and ready to go faster. Husqvarna is just a little bit softer than KTM. It's also got the lowered suspension platform, so that brings the bike and the center of gravity down. And then the GASGAS, it's got the same height. It's not lowered like Husky, it's the same height as KTM, and it's got the softest settings coming from WP. Also, you guys might not know, these come with the WP exact air forks, so the GASGAS forks have all the same internals as the KTM with the oil and air bypass slots. Great for blowing off pressure peaks and just making a smooth fork action. We had a lot of test riders jump on the bike today and over the past year, and these forks are great. They're just going to be soft for the intermediate and pro level guys. Also for the heavier guys, they're going to be soft as well. Also, they got the adjustable by hand compression clickers and rebound clickers as well on the bottom of the fork, so that's nice to be able to adjust the forks out on the track. We put stock air pressure in the forks. That's 10.7 bar for the GASGAS MC450F. That's what they recommend to start out with. The MX8 test riders, we range from high to low to medium on the GASGAS forks. Most guys bump it up to 10.9 or even 11 bar to get a little more hold up out of the forks, and then they go in on the compression, go in on the high speed adjuster on the shock 2 to get a little more hold up out of the GASGAS suspension. But for our vet level riders, they actually really like the suspension because it's plush, smooth, and just easy to ride for a guy who's not charging as hard and not going quite as fast as some of our pro test riders are. Going over a few specs on the GASGAS MC450F, this bike weighs in at 222 pounds. It's the lightest bike in the class, actually a little bit lighter than KTM and Husqvarna. I think it's 1 pound lighter. It also comes in with horsepower at 57.37 horsepower, and the torque is at 36.51. As for the price, already mentioned, it's $9,599. Same price as Honda, Yamaha, and Kawasaki. It's actually more than the Suzuki RMZ 450 that comes in at $8,999. So $500 more than the Suzuki. It's also $700 less than the KTM 450 and $800 less than the Husqvarna FC 450. So that's where the GASGAS slides in. Also, if you're gonna run these triple clamps on your GASGAS and you're having trouble with the front end trying to get traction and trying to get that precise feeling that you might have felt on a KTM or Husky, we recommend upping the torque settings on your bolts. So torque down the top triple clamp bolts to 20 Newton millimeters and the bottom triple clamp bolts to 15 Newton millimeters. Basically, this is upping it quite a bit from what you run on the KTM and Husky. KTM, Husky run 17 Newton millimeters on top and 12 on bottom. So by upping the torque pressure on the triple clamp bolts, you're getting a little better hold between the triple clamp and the forks, a little less flex, and that does help with that vague feeling that we've talked about in the front end. Doesn't completely get rid of it, but it definitely is a band-aid fix that we like on the GASGAS. So overall, I think KTM accomplished the goal. They wanted to make a bike that was more affordable and competitive in price points with Honda, Kawasaki, and Yamaha. They did that with this bike, but they also didn't want to make a bike that was inferior, that wouldn't be able to keep up with the rest of the pack. This one still has the great Brembo brakes that we love, still got great suspension components that we really appreciate as well from WP, and it's got the awesome chromoly steel frame that we like from KTM and Husky, and the great power band that comes with the KTM 450 engine. This one is GASGAS, but basically the same internals, the same platform that you get with the KTM 450. So overall, MX8 test riders, we have a lot of fun on this bike. It's softer. It's definitely not as powerful as the KTM or Husky with that restrictor in the muffler, without the map settings, and with the closed off air box. It's a little more mellow, a little bit easier to ride, and overall, I think it's great. It's another bike on the track. Yes, it's very similar to KTM, but it does have its differences, and it gives people options when they're heading to the dealer. So. guys for tuning into this video. If you like this test, check out more MXA videos on our YouTube channel. Subscribe and click the notification button so you can get an update when we're uploading more videos. We got our 450 shootout coming out very soon. We got some really cool stuff coming on in there, and I think you guys are gonna really like it. It's gonna be something that's different that you probably have never seen before, so definitely have never seen in the motocross industry. So we're looking forward to that. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel, motocrossactionmag.com, our website. We got all of our latest product tests, bike tests, news, reviews, and more. So thank you guys for tuning into this video. We'll see you in the next one.